In today's video, I'm going to be covering the truth about Andrew Tate and sharing a little bit around my own personal experience of when I met him earlier this year. Now, the reason I'm making this video is, as you've probably seen, he's been censored off of all of the major platforms over the past few weeks. And I just really wanted to share a little bit around what my experience was with him, because a lot of the media and a lot of the internet is making allegations about him, portraying him in a certain light. And I think there's a little bit of a mismatch between what people are saying about him online and the person I met in real life. And I just wanted to share a bit about my experience. Before I do that, I do just want to say that I'm not part of the War Room. I'm not part of Hustlers University. I'm not part of any of his groups. I've followed him online for a while and I've met up with him in person once. So I like to think this is not a biased look at him. This is just an objective view of the person that I met and the person that I believe he is. So how did the meeting come about? So me and Andrew followed each other on Twitter for a while, and I actually posted a video on Twitter to say I was in Prague, and he DM'd me to say he was in Prague, his jet had just landed, and if I fancied going for dinner and going for some drinks with him one of the days. So I agreed, and then next day we met up. And the first thing that I kind of realized about Andrew, I had really good first impressions. He was very friendly, he smiled, he made eye contact, all of the things kind of a charming, charismatic person would do. He did. And he was actually very interested in what I was doing. He would ask about my business. He was asking about, where I was living, why I was in Prague and things like that. He was very personable, and you could tell he was just great with people. And I think a lot of people try and paint him out as a person that is, socially inept or not good with people, abrasive. And my own personal experience, that couldn't be further from the truth. And, I've always thought that having an opinion of someone like that is so successful is just so stupid. Like, how has somebody got to the levels they are without being a people person, right? It just doesn't make sense. So he was very much a people person. Me and him also got on a level. We had similar interests in, mindset, fitness. We agreed on a lot of the same things, not everything, but we just had a good conversation. Now, one of the things that I really liked about him was the fact that he wanted to look after the people around him. And this was very evident from the cameraman that he had with him. So his cameraman actually said to Andrew on the night that he needed to book a flight to go somewhere. And the first thing that Andrew did was said, let me sort this for you now, man. Let me get this sorted so you can take the flight. I'll book it for you. I want to make sure you get back safe. And that just showed to me that straight away he just wanted to look after his team or the people around him, his friends and things like that. And his cameraman then shared a story of how basically he is late at night in bed and he's really tired, but because of Andrew's mindset, he wanted to get the work done. Right. So he said speed, right, which is a big thing that Andrew talks about. He was like, speed. I want to get up and get it done and edit the video. And that just kind of highlighted to me kind of the impact that he has on the people around him, that he isn't just generous and kind, but he has a standard, right, of, you work hard, you execute things, you do things when you don't feel like doing. And I think that that's a very positive message to people, because especially young men, I think a lot of the reason as to why people are unhappy is because they don't follow through on things, right? They're not working hard, they're not working diligently, they don't have discipline. And the fact that he pushes that message and that then conveys to the people around him is a very positive thing. As the night went on, we kind of discussed world affairs and things like that. And then as the night finished, Andrew paid the bill, which was very generous of him, shook my hand, said it was great to meet me, and said we'd see each other around, right? And it was a very positive experience. The funny thing is, everybody that I've met that is close to Andrew, and I've met some people that are his close personal friends, they all say the same thing. They say he is kind, they say he is generous, they say he is loyal, and they all hold a high opinion of him. All of the people that have a negative view on him are the people that have never met him in real life, right? And are also the people that have seen his videos that have been cut up into shorts that are taken out of context, right? It's very hard to have a strong view of somebody when all you've seen is a 15-second TikTok, right? It's very difficult. And if you're basing your opinions on someone from a short video, then maybe you need to look at how you judge things, because when you see someone in person and you spend time with them, or even if you watch their longer form content, you're kind of able to see who they are in real life. And to me, he wasn't a person that was abrasive, that was arrogant, that was disingenuous. He was actually very kind. He showed humility and he was fun and charismatic. Now, don't get me wrong, there are views that Andrew has and certain opinions and the way he does stuff which I wouldn't personally do. I do believe that there is an element of truth to everything he says, right? And just because something is true and you don't like it doesn't mean that it's wrong, okay? A lot of time people get upset about the truth, and sometimes you just need to accept the fact that people will lead a different life and do things differently. For example, his relationships with women, okay? He likes to have multiple women, and these women are very beautiful, they love him, and they're happy to be in that relationship with him because, as he talks about, he's a very high value man. And there's an element of truth to that. In all of the societies that have happened, men have had multiple wives, and he's basically sharing that. Now, I personally don't want to conduct my relationship like that, and I'm sure there's lots of other guys out there that don't want to conduct their relationships like that either, okay? But that's cool, right? You don't have to agree with everything that he says, and you don't have to get upset and offended by these things. I feel like nowadays when people don't agree with things, straight away they get defensive, they get angry, they get upset, and they kind of throw shade on the people that are saying things that are not aligned with them. Guess what? There are plenty of people who you're friends with in your life that probably do things that you don't agree with. It could be family, it could be relatives, and things like that. But you, again, are the person that chooses how to lead your life, and you're an adult, right? The way that people act when they get so upset about this is quite childish, in my opinion, right? Like, you're an adult, you don't have to agree with anything, you can conduct your life how you want. Another thing that I think is quite controversial that people have mentioned is the fact that he says women are property. Now, I think the way that Andrew speaks, he exaggerates certain things. And he's even said this on podcasts too. He exaggerates a point to help with marketing himself, right? And getting views. And it's very black and white. When you like break things down, there's always nuance in life. And I can actually see what he means by this. So Andrew likes looking after the women in his life, and he has great relationships with them from what I can see and from what he's told me. So he retired his family and he's retired his mum, which I think is fantastic. And he always wants to protect and provide for the women around him. And I believe that's what he means by, women as property. I don't think that he thinks of it in a negative way and a controlling manner, which a lot of people seem to perceive it as. I think what he means is he wants to be a strong leader, right? He wants to lead, he wants to take care and protect the people around him that he loves. And anybody that's rational, and any man, wants to do that. Everybody wants to look after the women that they care about in their life. I don't think anyone with a rational mind can disagree with that, okay? And that's what I kind of perceive when he talks about that statement, okay? And I really want to kind of make that clear, and that's the way that I kind of perceive it. I think the biggest message that Andrew has that's great is that young men really need to work hard, work on themselves and build, okay? To work diligently to develop themselves. And I think a big reason as to why men nowadays are really upset and, unfulfilled is because they're not doing this work. They're not working on their body. They're not developing their finances or their career as they could be. Sometimes they're lazy, right? And they're not developing themselves to be a high value person to attract a good quality woman, right? If you're doing a lot of these things, then you will attract a lot of the things that Andrew has in his life. And a lot of the reason that people dislike him and that are angry about what he says is because they're not doing those things. They are envious and they're jealous of his lifestyle, right? And the way I look at it is I'm actually quite inspired when I see what he does. The fact that he came from a council estate in Luton, okay, as a guy that had no money, became a kickboxing world champion, and then achieved a lot of success in business, with his relationships, looking after his family. I think that's very commendable. And in any other period of the world, this would be seen as a fantastic achievement. But it seems that in this society right now that we live in, people are not praising him for the good that he's done, the challenges he's obviously faced, and the achievements that he's made. And I think that the message he has for young men is very positive. And this is why I think that, I hope that he gets unbanned and that people can really see him for who he is, because he gives a lot of money to charity. He's a good man. And from the personal experience that I had with him on that day and that night, he treated me with nothing but respect. He didn't come across as a misogynist, a nasty person, someone that would harm or abuse men or women, right? He was someone that's very driven, motivated, and cared for other people. And I wanted to make this video to do that. Because, if I was in his position and I had his level of fame and people were saying to me, all of these negative things, sending me death threats and doing all of these bad things when I knew at heart I wasn't that person, I wouldn't feel good. So I hope that this video gets some kind of traction so people can see and maybe just get my perspective on the experience that I had with him and from what I've learned from him from following him for a while. So I'm going to link his final message here as well if hopefully this video gets some decent views. And yeah, I hope that this gives you some insight into him and that he kind of gets unbanned and he can spread his message. So that's my view on Andrew Tate. To summarize, I think he's a very kind, generous, hardworking and driven person. And you shouldn't take, the short clips of what you see of him on the internet as the kind of whole picture of who he is as a person. So thank you for watching this video. If you're new here, my name's Oliver Anwar. I help high performers and entrepreneurs optimize their health, fitness and performance in 1 to 3 hours a week without a restrictive diet. So if you're interested, you can hit the link in the description and you can apply to work with me. But that's it for me today. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.